Hi there, VC. It's Steve Whitty here. It's Saturday morning. The weekend is upon us. Sun is shining. That's good. So I'm all ready for a good day, I think, today. It's been a while. It's been nearly week and a half since I posted my last video. I had some time off work, and I thought also decided just to take a little bit of a break from posting videos. And I also haven't watched a few videos, so I'm sort of catching up on what myself. So I'm about 5 days a week behind. Quite a few that I will catch up, and I promise I'll catch up and comment. I know there's a few contests going on that I need to put some entries rather sharpish. So this video is a vinyl haul video, and as I mentioned, I had a week off work, and this is really what I got on my week off. Wasn't really planning to do much. I'm trying to, save up, but you go around charity shops and the like. You see prices, prices that astound you, but then you see score up prices that you're just too good to turn down. So anyway, on the Monday, I went to Erdington. Now Erdington's a couple of miles away from where I live. It's a suburb of Birmingham. It's famous because it was home to the Mothers Club, um, which Cashbox magazine voted the best venue in the world, and where Pink Floyd recorded half of the live section of Ummagama. So I went around the charity shops there, and it wasn't much, but I did pick up Carol Bayer Sager. Now, the reason I picked this up is it's a self-titled album. The reason I picked it up, it's got this track "Moving Out Today," which I didn't realise until I picked the album up. It was co-written by Bette Midler, and yeah, it's not a bad album. Very very AOR-ish. Carol Bayer Sager first came to prominence. I think she co-wrote "A Groovy Kind of Love," which the Mindbenders took top 10 hit around the world, which Phil Collins took to number one on the soundtrack of Buster. She became one time Mrs. Burt Bacharach. Album on the Electro label. It's not a bad album. I think Moving Out Today is obviously the best track, and it was a surprise top 10 hit for her. Yeah, not a bad album. It cost me a couple of quid, so I thought I wasn't going to complain. Near where I live, there is the Jericho Project. It's right by the council tip. And basically what they do is it's aimed at getting young kids into employment. And so people donate furniture and electrical goods. The aim of it getting repaired and so resold. And it's training young people into developing skills. But also, I was told that you sometimes get records, and they do have a lot of LP vinyl and CDs. Quite a lot of the vinyl's in precious state, to be quite honest, and I probably wouldn't touch. But any of the decent stuff is kept downstairs by the till, so basically they can keep an eye on it so nobody could steal it. And I picked myself a couple albums on the Wednesday. So I know this has just been reissued, but I found an original edition of Paul McCartney's "Flowers in the Dirt." Came out in 1989. Features a lot of "My Brave Face" is probably the best known track, the lead single, co-written with Elvis Costello. Not a bad album. I think it was a return to form. Pressed to play, it was sort of lambasted by fans and media alike, and it sold poorly. In a sense, this was a start of a return to form for McCartney, and it's on the back of this he started touring again, I believe. He started thinking about touring again. Whether he did tour on the back of it, I'm not sure. It might be impressed, but no, it's not a bad album, and it's in great nick. And then I found this World Party Goodbye Jumbo album that came out in 1990. World Party is basically Carl Wallinger, who, ex of the Waterboys, had left, and this is the band's second album. and Put the Message in the Box is probably the best known track. But again, another good album. You've got Sweet Soul Dream, which features Sinead O'Connor on backing vocals. You've also got It's Too Late. Guy Chambers, who went on to have success co-writing for Robbie Williams, he appears a lot on this album. It's a really good album. A good album at the time. I do remember the buzz about this album. Never owned a copy until now. I went to Birmingham on the Thursday, and I just went around local shops. Went into Swordfish Records, which is off by the Law Courts, and they do a mixture of second hand and new. So I was pinging through the second hand, and I came across this for £15. I got it's a double. It's, as it says, a 2 LP set. So first LP's Are You Experienced, Jimi Hendrix, and the second one is Axis Boulder's Love. So it's in a double LP set. It came out originally 1973. And there you got the inside. And at 15 quid, and then yes, it did some slight damage to the sleeve, but I just thought it was too good to say no, because to be quite honest, to find both albums, it would have cost me a damn sight more to find both albums in these sleeves. So it fills a couple of holes in my collection there. Last Friday was the major day where I really, I think, scored. It's one of those days when you go around the charity shops that you sort of dream of. And I couldn't believe what I picked up. And it's cost me, in total, £19. Now, I'll say this now because this, what I'm about to show you, and I think I'm going to have a drink first to sort of steady myself up. Cheers. It's nice to start your day with a cup of tea. And so I went into the British Heart Foundation shop first, just to have a peek through, just have a little look. And I picked up a copy of Renaissance, and I hope Shahrazad, I think is how you pronounce it, Shahrazad or whatever. It's released in 1975. It's the band, I believe it's their fourth album, and it's on BTM record label. That's British Talent Management. That was Miles Copeland's first attempt at a label, I believe. He went on to manage the Police and then set up IRS. It's a really good album. It's the first bit of Renaissance I've ever picked up. You've got the vocals, Annie Haslam, Michael Dunford on guitars, and really the track is side 2, which is called The Songs of Shahrazad, which is basically tells the story. If you're not aware of the legend, that Sultan, who finds out he's been wronged, his wife's been unfaithful to him, it takes his revenge by married a new virgin in the town, in his kingdom, every night, and then once they consummated the marriage, he'd have her killed. And it came to Shahrazad's turn, and she said, "Well, can I have a last wish? I'll tell you can I tell you stories?" And through telling the stories, he became that enchanted with her that he didn't kill her. He stayed married to her, and that's basically it. But it's just a good little folk prog album. Now, I went next door to Scope, and you go in there, as I've said in previous videos, in hope more than expectations. So I just had a look round, and what caught my eye was I had a copy of this on display, the Woodstock triple album, the music from the original soundtrack from Woodstock. And I thought, well, I'll have a look to see how much this is going to cost. It would set me back. And lo and behold, £3 for a 3 LP set. And not only that, It's an original on the Atlantic, orange and purple. And I thought, oh, I'll have that. Then picked that up. And then I flicked through. The next thing I see, let me get this in the right order, was a copy of this. This is Goodbye Cream, the last album by Cream. This was only £1, and this is mainly because I think the cover was a bit well worn. Vinyl plays on all these records. I'm going to show you the vinyl plays beautifully. Now, Goodbye Cream, as I said, it's the final album. So the first 3 tracks. So you've got 2 tracks on side 1. They're both live tracks, and the top track sitting on side 2 is also a live track. The last 3 tracks on side 2, Badge being the best well-known studio tracks. They had planned to do it as a band, try to do it as a double album, but the quality of the studio recordings weren't up to cop, so they decided just to keep it as a single album. Album released on Polydor. As I said, this is in beautiful condition, vinyl. As I said, the best known track is Badge, which is co-written by George Harrison from Eric Clapton. And I do believe, there is rumours that George Harrison actually plays the lead on it. I'm not sure if that's true. Not credited. Maybe that because it may cost too much money. But open up the gatefold, sort of signifying it's the end. It's like all the song titles on gravestones. Excellent. Next one. So I flicked through. I thought, I'll have this. Next. Now this band might not be well known, but I was aware of them. This is Doctors of Madness, and this is their second album, Figments of Emancipation. How I best describe Doctors of Madness is they're the missing link between glam and punk. Very mid-70s band, very heavy on the electric violin. The band is basically the brainchild of Richard Kid Strain. Here's the band at the back. And the reason I was aware of them, and I've mentioned before when I talked about Bebop Deluxe, I've been listening to Joe Elliott's radio show on Planet Rock, and he's a big fan of this band, and he's played them before, and you listen to it and you think, oh, wow, that's a bit weird, but wonderful. So when I saw the name, I knew the name, I thought, I'm going to take a punt at this for a couple of quid. You see, this is in immaculate condition. I suspect it's already been played because I think maybe a bit too much for people. There's plenty of clips of it on YouTube. Doctors of Madness. I played this album and I put on Facebook. Wow, and it is a wow album. I want to get. They only made 3 albums before splitting up. So I'm going to make it a mission to look for the other 2 if they're both as good as this. They're both on YouTube. I'm not really going to sit down on YouTube one day and just have a listen. But wow, this is just brilliant. I just think I can't say much more than this. This is just excellent. Wow. Check this out. Really check this out. So the next album I'll pick up. And then I saw this. Live in Leeds. And this is a track edition. This is a reissue. And you think, oh, but looking at the vinyl, I think, oh, the cover's broken, but it isn't, because it's meant to look like a bootleg. So you've got in there, you've got your record, but you've also got all. What's so lucky to find, you've got all the paraphernalia that came with it. So the lyrics to My Generation, a sort of expense sheet, a photo of Pete Townsend holding his guitar up, maybe at, I'm not sure if it's Woodstock, it's some festival somewhere. And then I've got some doodlings on the back. A letter from telling them they can't play a gig at the Locarno Ballroom in Swindon. High Numbers sort of expense sheet, basically money coming in, money going out. A high numbers rejection letter from EMI. Sort of legal notice for not paying the bills for guitar. Delivery note for some smoke generators. More expenses. Photo of the band in the early era. And then a contract with Premier Talent. And then finally, a little poster, Who, Maximum R&B. So, to find this album, with all this in, it's all what should be there. And the album plays great. The album's one of the best great live albums of all time. But to find it at that price, I couldn't say no. Next album then picked up was Carlos Santana and Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin, Love, Devotion, Surrender. This is very much an album inspired, really, by Eastern mysticism with the Sri Srimani. And if you've got the album, you'll know he puts a little piece in there to read. Again, very guitar based. You've got here a version of John Coltrane's The Love Supreme, Neymar, Life Divine, which John McLaughlin wrote, Let's Go to the House of the Lord, a traditional song arranged by Santana and McLaughlin, and then Meditation by John McLaughlin. In a sense, it's more of a John McLaughlin album than it's a Carlos Santana album. You can see from the back, the Sri Srimani, a bit creepy wearing the white, but, you know, and that cost me that, £1.50. Excuse me, my voice is croaking up a little bit. This is going to be a long video, I think. Excellent album, that. If you like your guitar playing, some really deep, really great guitar playing on that album. Then I find this. And this is Curved Air's debut album, Air Conditioning. Released in 1971 on the Warner's label. Again, original copy. I think it cost me a couple of quid. And Curved Air Francis Monkman, Darrell Way and Sonia Christian are the main members, really. This is the biggest selling album, the debut album. It was a top 10 album in 1970, I think. The follow-up second album featured Backstreet Love, which was the big hit single that the band had. Again, excellent album. I think the highlight for me is Vivaldi, which is a Darrell Way song. Darrell Way played the electric violin and vocals, so I think he was heavily influenced by Vivaldi. It's sort of like a homage. Sometimes you see the album looking like that, and on the back you've got all the actual, what the title is of the album. Just absolutely brilliant. I don't know which is the main haul, the big haul find of the haul. I'm going to say that to the last. Picked up Jethro Tull's Benefits, the band's third album. Again, it's a Chrysalis Island pressing. Again, I think it's only cost me £1.50. Great album. Another great album. It's slightly darker, I think, than. I've forgotten the name of the second album now. Talk about not doing your research. I think it's a slightly darker album. Aqualung came after this, where, you know, it was certainly the last album to feature. I do think it's the last album to feature Glenn Cornick on bass before he got kicked out. Yeah, Ian Anderson produced this album. Really good album, actually. I think standout track for me, I liked To Cry You a Song. To me, that's a really good song, album track. Then Mountain Live, and to give it its full title, Mountain Live: The Road Goes Ever On. And this is it's an Island on Island Records. You've still got I've got the Island in the sheet. There's the right, again, another album in excellent condition. Again, I think I could have paid £1.50 for this. And basically, it's a live album. It's basically an album with 4 tracks. The first 2 tracks, Long Red and Waiting to Take You Away, were recorded at Woodstock, and they came from there. And then side 1 ends with Crossroader, and then side 2 is just Nantucket Sleigh Ride, which is well known to fans of political programs in the 70s and 80s, because it was used for a program called Weekend World. That's how I knew it originally. It's one of these tracks, Nantucket Sleigh Ride, especially the studio version. I can't stop playing. It's a good live album, actually. In all honesty, it makes me want to see if I can find some more Mountain. Actually, I did see a copy of the best of floating around. And then finally, I think the one that I was really pleased to pick up, and this was £3. It's Jimi Hendrix, and it's Band of Gypsys. And this was a live album which was recorded January 1st, 1970 at the Fillmore East in New York. And it's the Band of Gypsys was Jimi Hendrix, Buddy Miles and Billy Cox. I know some reviews are a bit patchy on this album. I enjoyed it. Machine Gun's my favourite. I mean, it's a long track on the album. The album is an original. It's on the Track label, Track Records label. Decided to find this in this condition for so little. I'm just so pleased with this. It's a great. I liked it. I think it was a great live album. As you see, I picked up a couple of Hendrix albums. It's actually Ladyland, really, I need to pick up now, is to find a copy of that in decent nick. So, VC, I think the moral of this tale is you just got to keep looking. I know looking in charity shops in the UK can be quite dispiriting at times. Because it's the same old that never gets shifted. But if you keep looking, you keep coming in, you do come across some gems. So it's restored my faith a little bit. So if you liked what you've seen, leave a comment or put a thumbs up, thumbs down. Feel free to comment, I'll reply back to you. If you've stumbled across me for the first time and you liked what you've seen and you wish to subscribe, click the button. Currently 104 subscribers. Thank you, Julian Lopez, for subscribing to me yesterday. So, until the next video, and which probably going to be some contest entries, and I might do some of those tomorrow. Till the next video, enjoy the weather. The sun's shining where you are, and enjoy your weekend. Take care, VC. Bye.